Hey everyone, welcome back. Today we're going to be talking about revolutions. Probably heard this word before, right? Or maybe read it in some book? Well, history textbooks are replete with sections recounting several revolutions, which involved organized groups of people risking their lives to overthrow one form of government and replace it with another. Many ended up failing, but sometimes one would be a resounding success. These upheavals frequently had an impact on many countries, sometimes even spanning whole continents. As old as recorded history are popular uprisings that took place anytime democratic, oligarchic, and monarchical. These administrations alternately assumed power. These political power transitions were frequently violent. However, not all political theorists at the time agreed that political revolutions were a constant feature of politics. So, a revolution was totally debatable. A revolution is not merely a violent overthrow of the existing system, it is also a movement for social and political change among the populace. Additionally, a revolution is not just a thing of the past. It is a turbulent and disruptive event that seeks to alter a country, a region, a civilization, and occasionally even the entire planet. Who knows? The reasons for and objectives of revolutions differ. Some movements, such as the American Revolution, aim to topple and replace the governmental system. The Russian and Chinese revolutions, among others, both aim to drastically alter the society and the economy. I have selected four modern history's largest and most significant revolutions. Those are American, Russian, French, and Haitian. We will examine each revolution in detail before talking about certain aspects that they all have in common. Most revolutions are started by individuals or organizations who are motivated by optimism, idealism, and aspirations for a better society. While the old system struggles to hold on to power, these rebels try to alter or topple it. Confrontation, conflict, disruption, and division are the results, and these things can result in war, violence, and misery among people. The initiators of revolution have come to the conclusion that the social institutions that are currently in place have failed or are no longer necessary. Since overthrowing established order is the goal of revolutions, their characteristics are a reflection of the conditions under which they were born. When a nation's social atmosphere shifts and the political system does not respond appropriately, revolutions result. Existing situations discourage people, which modifies their ideals and beliefs. Philosophers have had varying opinions about whether revolution is a normal occurrence in an evolving society or if it denotes societal collapse throughout history. The four revolutions that came after are particularly significant because of how far-reaching their effects were. They just shaped world history. There is no denying the significance of such turning points in our history, whether the change was for the better or the worse. It was a very huge change and did again shape world history. Change came about as a result of bloodshed in all of these revolutions. Now moving on to the first revolution, Haitian. After the United States gained independence in 1783, the Haitian Revolution led to the creation of the second sovereign nation in the Americas. When Haiti became a state as a result of a slave rebellion, US political leaders, many of whom were slave owners, reacted doubtfully. At times, they were offering assistance to quell the uprising and later in the revolution, supporting Toussaint Louverture's soldier. The United States would not formally acknowledge Haitian independence until 1862 as a result of these policy changes and political issues. Haiti was a French colony called Saint-Domingue until it gained its freedom. By the 1760s, Saint-Domingue had established thriving slave-based sugar and coffee businesses, making it the most prosperous colony in the Americas. But as the economy grew, the African slaves, who made up the vast bulk of the population, were further exploited. American businessmen engaged in brisk trade with Saint-Domingue both before and after the United States gained freedom. The colony was significantly impacted by the French Revolution. While the mixed-race population of Saint-Domingue engaged in civil rights activism, the white minority broke into royalist and revolutionary groups. The slaves of northern Sandamangia saw an opportunity and plotted a large-scale uprising that started on August 22, 1791. As we move further on, we have the French Revolution. An important period in the history of contemporary Europe was the French Revolution. It started in 1789 and came to an end when Napoleon Bonaparte rose to power in the late 1790s. During that time, French citizens leveled and reorganized the administrative structure of the nation, uprooting centuries-old tenets like absolute monarchy and the feudal system. Large-scale oppositions to the monarchy and King Louis XVI's pathetic economical policies were to blame for the unrest. By outlining its objectives and occasionally degenerating into a tumultuous massacre, the French Revolution played a significant role in creating modern states. This revolution fundamentally altered France's social and political system. It put an end to the monarchy, feudalism, and political influence of the Catholic Church in France. It introduced new concepts to Europe, including the freedom and liberty for an average person, abolition of slavery, and the rights to women. These novel concepts persisted throughout Europe and shaped many of its contemporary administrations. Prior to the French Revolution, France's populace was separated into social classes known as estates. The clergy and the nobility made up of the first and second estates, and the third estate was known as the third estate, which included the peasants and small businessmen. The third estate citizens used to be responsible for paying the majority of the taxes, while nobles enjoyed luxurious lifestyles and held up all of the top positions in the society. Political clubs helped shape many of the revolutionary France's new political alliances and ideals. They went under the names of the Pantheon Club, Fayence, Cordialis, and the Jacobin Club. The most significant legacy of the French Revolution was the right to democracy and the right to liberty. As feudal institutions were abolished in the 19th century, this expanded from France to the rest of the Europe. Later, revolutionary fighters in India like Tipu Sultan adopted these concepts. Now moving on, we have the Russian Revolution. Russia was one of the least developed and wealthy nations in Europe at the start of the 20th century. Workers rebelled against the monarchy in 1905 due to the poor situation of the nation, which resulted in the Bloody Sunday Massacre and a failed rebellion. The Russian economy was destroyed by World War I, which also left a large death toll. Tsar Nicholas II left the nation to lead the army and motivate the soldiers, but he proved to be a poor commander. Furthermore, he left the nation in the care of his unpopular German-born wife, a Russian mystic and a self-styled prophet who was also under his influence. Protesters marched through the streets of Petrograd, or what is now St. Petersburg, during the February Revolution of 1917. This time, however, a sizable number of troops who had lost trust in their leader joined them. Tsar Nicholas II abdicated the throne a few days after the new temporary government was established, ending the Romanov dynasty with the imperial system. However, the history of Russian Revolution did not stop with this. The new government, which was composed of bourgeoisie members, continued to fund the war effort in the still going on World War I, which only made the nation's economy, unfortunately, worse. In a bloodless coup d'etat, the revolutionary Bolshevik Party and its leader Vladimir Lenin overran the Winter Palace during the October Revolution of 1917, which overthrew the interim government. Lenin fought for a new Soviet government that was run by a group of peasants, workers, and soldiers rather than by capitalists. Despite his efforts, the remaining imperial loyalists outside of Petrograd did not warmly embrace the revolution. 5 years of civil war in Russia eventually led to Lenin's victory and the founding of the Soviet Union. Last but not the least, the American Revolution. With the passage of the Stamp Act, a law that levied unpopular taxes on the colonies to cover the cost of the 7 years of war with France, tensions between the British and the 13 American colonies started to rise. As protesters expressed their resentment of the higher levies, pockets of violence erupted. The Boston Tea Party, often recognized as a noteworthy act of rebellion, took place in 1773 when a group of protesters known as the Sons of Liberty poured 342 chests of tea into Boston Harbor in opposition to tea taxes. 12 representatives from each of the 13 colonies met in 1774 to discuss the issue, creating the Continental Congress, which oversaw the colony's transition to independence. They initially refrained from publicly requesting independence but opposed British parliamentary taxation without representation. The battles of Lexington and Concord in 1775 marked the beginning of the conflict as the King's soldiers were deployed to seize military equipment and supplies from the American forces. The Declaration of Independence, a formal declaration renouncing the British monarchy, was issued by the Continental Congress on July 4 of the following year, setting the foundation for the creation of the United States of America. Before George Washington's men and the French army decisively defeated the British at the Battle of Yorktown in 1781, the fighting raged on for several more years. The 1783 Treaty of Paris, which saw the British renounce all rights in the United States, marked the official end of the conflict 2 years later. Now, as we talked about in the beginning, we're going to go ahead with the similarities. Early in the long 19th century, a number of political uprisings altered the Atlantic world and had profound effects on the rest of the world, and effects that are still felt today. Between 1775 and 1825, there was the French Revolution and the American War of Independence. Well, why did these enormous changes in power take place in such a short amount of time? What led people to overthrow their government simultaneously in North and South America on both sides of the Atlantic Ocean within a very short period of time? Whatever form they take, these flashpoints represent the culmination of revolutionary ideas and movements. By openly opposing the former regime's domination and authority, they accelerate the speed of the revolution. Well, no, it wasn't just about the revolutionary concepts. These political upheavals were also influenced by evolving manufacturing and distribution networks. For instance, a number of wars that would have long-lasting consequences were fought in the years preceding these revolutions. Cities and towns expanded as a result of the expanding population. As a result, prices for essential foods and items increased dramatically. Because of rising rents and expenses, the poor had to work longer hours and harder to make ends meet. Revolutions are violent fights between those who want to maintain the status and those who want to overthrow it by their very nature. Many revolutionaries form militias or armies to get ready for the battle, either to defend themselves or to overthrow the government. In the interim, the old regime mobilizes to defend its grip on power. For instance, Aristotle contended that the most stable political system was a blend of the three, not one of democracy, oligarchy, or monarchy. There would be a sizable middle class under Aristotle's orderly political structure. The middle class would be a hybrid class that would benefit from the knowledge and money of the oligarchy and monarchy, while also being made up of the largest possible population, as was the case in a democracy. In other words, there won't be a compelling cause to start a revolution when wealth and authority are widely spread amongst members of a particular community. Modern industrial democracies do appear to be politically stable and have sizable middle classes, which suggests that Aristotle's theory has stood the test of time. Thank you all the students out there listening to my lecture. I will see you again very soon. This is Pranjal Trivedi signing off.